really have to be intentional about the way that we approach wealth. That's super important. And when it comes to healthcare disparities, um, Black Americans have the highest rate of hypertension, diabetes, maternal mortality, and a lot of that has been attributed to people assuming that Black women are capable of handling things and they're physically strong enough to get through it without this medication when they need to be supplemented like everybody else, right? It's not just because of diet, even though diet does play a role and a significant role in exercise, as we already covered earlier in this discussion, but there's also biased care, right, and lack of access, environmental stress. Matter of fact, the CDC has recognized racism as a serious public health threat. Like, I know that sounds crazy to you. Actually look it up and see that the CDC actually said this. So it is definitely impacting us enough for them to document it. When it comes to education, there's a lot of educational gaps as well. Schools in predominantly Black and Latino neighborhoods receive less funding, fewer resources, and they have harsher discipline policies, right? So that's where you start getting into what people call the school prison pipeline, where you see a disproportionate amount of our students end up in the prison system as opposed to other people. And we have to be very intentional in how we interfere or interject or prepare our youth for their next steps, as far as getting education, prioritizing learning a trade, prioritizing being a mentor, that person that they learn from. Because if they don't learn from you, they're going to learn from a few, and that few is going to be people with school that don't really got shit going for them, right? They might get them into anything because your lack of presence. So going past that, what I would like to talk about is the things that we can do about it. Because it's one thing to acknowledge it, right? I just want to make sure we're very clear on establishing that it exists. It's there. Real, it's tangible. There's stats and facts that support it. So now that we have identified it, how do we combat it? Because I've dealt with it a lot, but it's not been something that has stopped me from accomplishing my goals. I like to say, one of the things I always say is I consider it a road bump, not a roadblock. You're going to have to get over it and keep going, but it's not going to stop you from getting to your destination unless you allow it, right? So to me, the first step is acknowledging it, right? Acknowledging its existence, not to sit here and be in denial. Another thing I've learned is don't stay in your comfort zone, because we already have these boundaries that are self-imposed, or some of it is due to systemic racism, right? Where like as long as I do this and this and that, nobody gonna trip, right? But if I start trying this and that, they ain't gonna like that, or that's gonna be pushback, and I don't know how other people are gonna look at me, or don't ever stay in your comfort zone, right? Don't be scared to be the first one to break the ceiling, right? When I Mitch. What's up, Steven?
The sky is still blue, and we're still here, so not much to complain about. Just kind of listening in. If I had to
give him a grade,
if I had to give Trump a freaking grade right now, I'd surely say it was an F. You can boo me all you want, but I'm sorry. I think he's failed in many of his campaign
If there were three things he did wrong, what were that?
Failure in any of his campaign promises, except for these ICE raids, and I think these ICE raids are absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, where I live, he promised to cut down on the number of people crossing the river, and he absolutely did.
Well, I don't recall that it was an open forum to be critiqued about my grade of Donald Trump. I will give you a reason.
You're on a public app, and you're talking to other people.
I know, Marshall. It's just like you're barraging me, but you do you, bro. It's all good, but all I'm saying is he's brought us further from what I believe as an American that we should be. I think he's divided us more as a country, and I don't think that's what a president should do. I think a president should, number one, bring a country together that's both sides of the aisle and make good decisions.
Marshall, hold on a second, Stephen. A certain segment of the country, probably a majority of the country, thinks that he's brought the country together. Do you disagree with that? And I'm not just talking MAGA, I'm talking about just the regular Americans, not the MAGA lunatics.
Yeah, no, I see a much stronger divide, actually, in my local community, and that's all I can really speak of, is what's in my community.
How did he divide your community?
just on a political stance is that I stand on, you know, everybody having due process, and you know the MAGA Republicans and or even the people who just voted for Trump around here, like, have a strong opposition to what I say, what my opinion is. And I think it's hurting the integrity of our country, doing what he's doing with migrant workers. I mean, you're not even letting me finish my fucking statement before you fucking butt in, Marshall. Now that's just not even polite.
Yeah, Marshall,
Do you think Dr.
I
Who
was
was
going to
talking,
say,
Stephen or
here's
Dr.
the
Mitch?
pertinent question, if I might.
Marshall, you're a good Southern gentleman. Let the man land his plane.
Who was speaking?
Abby,
Dr. Mitch
that
or
was
Stephen?
no, that was Stephen.
Okay.
Stephen, yeah, land your plane, bro.
Look, I live here in California, all right? We are the breadbasket of this nation. Probably the breadbasket of the freaking world. All right? When you got somebody going and freaking arresting these migrant workers, and they are migrant workers, they come here, they pay taxes on the freaking money they earn here, and then they go back to freaking Mexico. All right? When you're arresting those people, you're taking food off your own table, and it's ignorant to do so. All right? Because there's no freaking group of white people that are going to go out there and tend those fucking fields.
Even wasn't it cannabis that they were? Wasn't it pot?
Yeah, it was cannabis.
It was pot. Like, this is not tomatoes.
A migrant worker is a migrant worker, and
Yeah,
it
it was
is
pot
absolutely legal.
so they can get high in California.
It is absolutely legal, licensed business to cultivate cannabis in the state of California. In fact, it is just as legal as to grow a tomato as it is to grow a cannabis plant.
It's absolutely legal in California to have child labor, despite the fact that the law in California specifically forbids minors from working on pot farms. The law is really specific in California. It says minors can work farms, they can't work pot farms.
Well, I was not.
So I'm a little confused as to why you would be defending the pot farmers. No,
right. They work on their own family farm or other people's farm.
Guys,
You're missing the point.
Hold on a second. Guys, we have a one mic policy. If a mod jumps in, please just shut up. Thank you respectfully. I don't know what the issue is with Marshall and Stephen, because Marshall usually doesn't get like this. So, Marshall, if you want to have a conversation with Stephen, you want to go at it for 2 minutes, be my guest, I want to get Dr. Mitch and Brian in the conversation. Marshall, you want to have an exchange with this gentleman?
I've been gabbing too much. We should probably move on. That way we don't bore people.
Yeah, and I'm honestly good on having a conversation with Marshall. I don't think anything productive would come.
Wait, why do you not think anything productive
defending
would come?
child laborers? We are actually was the position that we're defending children picking grapes and strawberries and weed. Like, what's the position here? Are we
The position that he was taking was the California farmers were well within the rights of the law, and the position I was taking was the California state law specifically forbids minors from working pot farms, and the news story that dealt with California dealt with minors working pot farms.
That's just the newest story, Marshall. It hasn't. It's not even the fact that it has. It's the fact it's been having on all agricultural facilities, not just cannabis.
California doesn't give a shit about the other agricultural shit. They give a shit about the pot farms. They're specifically saying you cannot work a pot farm as a minor.
I just want to say this. I have smoked with Stephen only for one thing he said. I don't know what's going on with the California ganja fields. But, Stephen, I got news for you. California might be the breadbasket, but New York's the capital of the world. So just take...
And I'd like to share Stephen...
Hey, I got mad respect for New York City. I love the city. I've been there when I was a kid. My stepdad stuck $20 in my shoe and said, go see the city.
Let Abby go. Go ahead,
I live in a border state to California, and we're flooded with Californians moving in. I mean, it made our real estate market. It's great for our housing market, but we can't get rid of the Californians. They can't move here fast enough. So your breadbasket people are bringing their little baskets over to Nevada and moving in record mass. It looks like you're going to probably lose 4 to 5 members of Congress this next go around, this next cycle. That's what it's estimated from your breadbasket.
Yeah, New York's the
I
capital.
never said I was a fan of the government here in California.
hold on one second, bro, because Dr. Mitch has been patiently waiting, and I want to get Brian Mose in the conversation, because Brian never comes to the stage. Dr. Mitch, how you doing?
Hi, Jay. Yeah, thanks for having me in. Like, everybody has some things that they're right about in this conversation. The farm workers came out yesterday and said they can't find labor. It's not just the pot farms, guys. People are afraid to show up. When your cucumbers cost $12 at the store, you'll see. I think Donald Trump, I think he wants to do a lot of good stuff, but he's coming up against some type of very large opposing forces. The last month has been a disaster. The optics are terrible, right? This whole Epstein thing. They really got to tighten up if they want with their messaging. If they think they're doing something that's beneficial, other than saying we were voted in for this, when you got people protesting everywhere about the immigration thing. I mean, he was supposed to come in and round up criminals. That's not what's happening. They're raiding car washes in L.A. and Home Depot, and the immigration's become a very blunt instrument. So there've been a number of things that I don't like, and I just want to critique the Trump administration, not the man, but the administration itself on its own merits. I'm not comparing it to anybody.
Dr. Mitch, hold on. Don't even mute up. I have a question for you. Up to this point, what grade would you give Donald Trump, A through F?
So, I mean, if you asked me a month and a half ago, it probably would have been a B+. Today it's a C-. There's been 5 things that have happened in the last few weeks. The bloated budget, the increasing the military spending and the deficit. They approved the mRNA vaccine for 6-month-old children. They've got this Epstein debacle, which is more of a public relations nightmare, but there's that. I know I'm missing.
Well, Dr. Mitch, respectfully, let me just say this. You can continue. It's just my opinion. I'm a Democrat, right? Lifelong Democrat, not Donald Trump lover or anything like that. But I think this is the dog whistle by the Democrats because they're desperate. I'm going to be honest with you. Nobody I know really gives a shit about this Epstein file.
Yeah, I'm going to be real. I'm with the day on that. Sorry, go ahead, please.
People do care about it. I mean, it's just like a death by 1,000 cuts. It's not the Epstein thing alone. It's that the people that oppose him will use any opportunity to diminish the work they're trying to do, and it's an optics problem. A lot of people they make up stories. So it's to come out and say there's no client list and it was definitely a suicide, I think was the wrong thing to say. I think they should have just said, look, we've got impending cases, we've got things we're looking at, it's legal issues, it's litigation, it's criminal possibilities, we can't discuss it.
Dr. Mitch, let me ask you a question. Since we're down this rabbit hole, you and I have always had good dialogue, and I'm not looking to stir the pot, but rumor has it that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent. Do you believe that?
He's a CIA, and it was a CIA Mossad money trap. I'm pretty sure.
So do you think that maybe they killed him and Trump had nothing to do with it?
I think that I think it's a mess. I think I'll tell you what it looks like, right? And we only know because of what we hear, but it looks like, he had 1,000 cameras. He kept inviting people over, taking pictures of people with underage girls. It looks like a kind of a typical blackmail operation. So I don't think it was a suicide. I think that's a stupid comment to make. I think they should have just left it up to people's imagination. It looks like Bongino and Patel, their initial reaction was they didn't even know that message was coming out. So the Trump administration needs to tighten up, number one, so that they don't turn off the whole world and create a blue wave, right? The immigration thing is a nightmare. We don't need to build more private internment camps if you want to deport people, don't start creating private, prisons for all these immigrants. I live in California. It's already affecting the economy on a grand basis. 70% of the workers on farms, they're migrant workers. They're being rounded up.
Dr. Mitch, respectfully, we have an issue with, and I don't, but we have an issue with these private prisons that build it for immigrants, like you said. But where's the smoke for the private prisons for American citizens? That these corporations are making hundreds of millions of dollars off American citizens.
Oh, there's
maybe the light at the end, Stephen, hang on. Maybe the light at the end of the tunnel is it brings attention to that, because we have 2.5 million people, and prisons are a very big business. They had defunded the private prisons around the country for a while, but Prison Industries and Unicorn, I can't remember all their names, but they use prison labor. People don't know until it happens to them. I worked as an expert witness. I'm in. Let me finish. I'm in the legal system, right? And I see more. We certainly don't need to spend $110 billion